This video is about Carrie and Jordan. Carrie is age 32 and Jordan is 30. They're both living in Vancouver. Jordan earns about $70,000 a year and Carrie's just finished school, so she's looking for a job. And they're currently renting, thinking about buying a home. Home prices there about $700,000. They've got $175,000 for a down payment, but they're just wondering should they continue to rent because they're only paying $1,800 a month, and that includes their heat and hydro. So we're just going to take a look at renting versus buying, and we're going to look at the basic Smith Manoeuvre. It's not for conservative investors, but it's an interesting approach to paying your home or your mortgage off quicker. Now, of course, while they're renting, they're living on one income, so everything is fine. They're comfortable with the income that they have in their lifestyle. So really my suggestion would be once Carrie is working, then her income would go to household expenses, the mortgage, and children, which they plan to have. Now, if we look at real estate in British Columbia area, we can see that the long-term appreciation rate has been about almost 7%. We can see it's fluctuated over time. So if they go ahead and they purchase a home, they're going to need about maybe a $500,000 mortgage. And we can take a look at the interest rate here. I've put in 3%. That would be their monthly payment. And we can see over 25 years, that's the amount of interest that they'd pay over the 25 years. Just play with the interest rate for a minute. So we're at 209. If interest rates go up to, say, 4%, then they would pay about an extra $80,000 over the 25 years. Now let's take a look at how those payments are made. So when they pay this, in the first year, about $13,000 is going towards the principal and $14,000 towards interest. Now, let's talk about the Smith Manoeuvre for a minute. The concept is, let's continue to make the same monthly payments so we don't increase our cash flow, but once we've paid down the principal by $13,000, why don't we reborrow that money and invest it? Now, the problem is, if I took all of this $13,000 and reinvested it, then my monthly payment would go up because I have to pay interest on this amount that we borrowed. So we leave some of this back. In our example, I'm going to suggest, why don't we just borrow $10,000 from the thing for a few years, and then once we get going, we're comfortable with it, why don't we just borrow $15,000 and invest that money? So let's take a look at how we set that up. So what we're doing is we're setting up a Smith Manoeuvre line of credit. Okay, let's take a look at that. So here we are, it's 3%. The interest is tax deductible because we're investing the money. And we're going to capitalize the interest. And capitalizing the interest simply just means that we're not making the interest payments. And we're not making the interest payments because interest on interest that is tax deductible is also tax deductible. So let's let them accumulate. Why pay that off when we have a mortgage that we're actually paying down too? And the other thing we have are the investments. And we've set the investments up here. And you can see the rate of return we're using on the investments is 5%, or 2% over the rate of inflation. Okay, so how is this working? So here's the $500,000 line of credit, and we can see we're paying that down with the regular monthly payments. Okay, but on the other side with this Smith Manoeuvre, what we're doing is we're borrowing out $10,000 each year. Okay, and we can see that this is the line of credit increasing on the Smith Manoeuvre side, but in total, our line of credit is staying at about $500,000. If we come down here until when the mortgage is paid off, we can see our line of credit is still at $500,000. Okay. However, if we look at the investments over here, remember, making 2% more than the rate of inflation, we've got about $658,000 of investment. So if we want, we could just come in and sell these investments and pay off the loan. Or we could continue to keep them, and the interest on this $500,000 will continue to be tax deductible. What we can see, though, is that after the mortgage is paid off, we're ahead of the game by about $158,000. Now, I know some of that will be taxable, but we're still ahead. The other thing to consider is the loan. It's a $500,000 loan, but we're running with 3% inflation. So what's the $500,000 loan with 3% inflation? At that time, it's about $220,000. And over the course of a lifetime, that $500,000 loan, because of inflation, is going to reduce to about $90,000. Okay, so this was a simple explanation of the Smith Manoeuvre, and it's how it might actually run in real life. I don't know if Jordan and Carrie, they may not be interested because they're conservative investors, but it's nice to have a different perspective on how things can work.